Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, French candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And we are starting off this episode with depending on who you are, bad news.
Oh no.
As I'm sure many of you who are addicted to third party politics are already aware of, chaos gremlin John McAfee has slipped off into the ethereal plane. He's punching angels now, I guess.
Yeah, he has been reduced to a virus in your PC now.
Oh my God, blows my mind. So yeah, I know a lot of folks are probably, I'll put it this way, I'm sure he's incredibly happy that he gets to exist for the rest of time as a top tier conspiracy theory, just based on how often he would tweet that he would never kill himself and then probably killed himself in prison.
Here's my thing about that. I love a good long con, and I feel like he executed that brilliantly.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's
if you're gonna off yourself.
Yeah. It's really interesting to weaponize your own death. But I mean, with John McAfee, I guess I shouldn't have expected anything less.
Like, I can see this also being turned into, I don't know, some kind of 21st century poorly written Alexander Dumas knockoff, like Iron Man shit. Like, he's not actually dead. That was his twin.
They just have him like in a dungeon in Malta or something.
Yes, and then he escapes.
Oh man, that would be the worst. But yeah, one of these days we will do a long episode on John McAfee. There's already a very good episode or two about him on Behind the Bastards. Robert Evans, who hosts that podcast, I think summed up John McAfee's life amazingly when he said, it really goes to show how much human shrapnel a billionaire can leave in his wake.
Good Lord.
Yeah, like McAfee was not a good person, and he probably killed his neighbor when he lived in Belize. And
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of details about the man that are just genuinely outrageous and incredibly interesting, but I don't really think he's a person who should really be held up as a hero who fought the status quo. He's just...
No, at best, he was the annoying pop-up telling me that my computer is going to get infected with viruses if I didn't update and pay $50 more. And then I switched to a Mac and everything was fine.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
#SpawnCon.
Yeah, just leave behind McAfee and Norton and everything suddenly gets better. Who knew? Oh, man. But yep, John McAfee, may flight's angels sing thee to thy rest. You third place finisher in the Libertarian 2016 presidential race. But also there was another kind of third party French candidate who died very recently. Former senator from Alaska, Mike Gravel, passed at the age of 91 this weekend. Mike ran for president multiple times in 2016, I want to say in 2008 as well. But he probably has my favorite campaign video of all time, where it's just him standing next to a river and then he just grabs a big rock and throws it into the river and then just walks away.
Oh, well, he's got every 5-year-old's vote.
Yeah, well, funny thing is, when he ran in 2020, his entire campaign was run by an 18-year-old who essentially approached him and said, I would like to run your campaign. And I think he said, I'm not really running, but you do you. If you file everything, I'll do it.
And that was the one time this child's boomer grandparents' advice worked.
Oh my God, damn it. But Mike's big claim to fame is when he was a senator, he filibustered by reading the entirety of the Pentagon Papers and was just a real pain in the ass to people throughout much of his tenure. But yeah, so.
Well, RIP, genuinely. Yeah. 91's a good long life.
Oh yeah, 91's nothing to slouch at. So now that we've got that depressing news out of the way, I think it's time that we talk about the end of the Pedro Espada saga.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That it even ends. I'm gun shy, frankly.
You know, me too. I got to the end of this and I was just searching through newspapers for a while because I did not believe that there wasn't anything newer about this guy. Yeah. It just blows my mind that there isn't like some machination that we don't know about. Yeah,
that there could be a genuine bookend.
So for just a tiny summary, because if you're in this far, you pretty much remember things, but Pedro Espada started a hospital chain in his 20s, used that to allegedly steal money for a while, and then became a state senator, lost that job really quick in scandal, became a city councilman for a little bit, and then became a state senator again, and then lost that job again out of scandal, during which time he also became a Republican for a little bit, but not really. And here we are, we're going to be starting at around 2006. Now, this is the time where Pedro has lost the state senator job for the second time. And 2006 is also going to be the first election season in about, I believe, since 1989 that he hasn't run for office.
Oh, bless the good people of Bronx.
So by this point, Pedro Espada has had enough of a political career for at least two people. He's become a state senator, lost the job, regained it again, only to lose it again. Pedro has clearly shown that he can win, but he also seems to have no idea how to keep the job once he has it. So maybe, just maybe, it's time to change things up a little bit. And he begins 2006 by doing something he had never done before: publicly apologize to a nemesis. So if you recall, Yep. So if you recall, in 2000, while he was running against Ruben Diaz Sr., the man who would take his Senate seat, Pedro would accuse Diaz of being arrested for marijuana and heroin possession in 1965. And as we'd said before, Diaz had never really hidden his past. But the eventual lawsuit wasn't due to the possession accusations, but it was filed due to Pedro claiming that Diaz had been arrested for being a drug dealer. And sure, Ruben was arrested with 12 bags of heroin, a quarter ounce of weed, and 2 weighing scales, but that's not quite enough to claim that someone is a drug dealer. They might just own the shit for themselves. Or they might be holding it for a guy, or maybe their roommate has it. It's not quite concrete enough to say Ruben Diaz Sr. is a drug dealer.
Yeah.
So by August of 2006, the courts would finally get to the slander trial that Ruben had filed against Pedro. And after a quick hearing, Pedro chose to settle out of court. Now, he would claim that it was because, quote, it just made sense to settle it under the narrow term of whether or not the conviction was for sale as a drug dealer. And the thing that made this unique was that the settlement involved Pedro making a public apology to the press and to make a donation of $2,500 to the charity of Ruben's choice. And weirdly enough, this one would be the first time that Pedro would ever attempt to mend a bridge that he had burnt to the goddamn ground. And the thing that was the rest of that, it probably was for the best that he wasn't running in 2006 in general, because it was a year where news wasn't exactly great for Pedro. For one, the Soundview Health Center would be caught overcharging the state's Medicaid billing system by about $1 million.
Ooh.
The state would claim, quote, Soundview Medical Clinic had provided services that were excessive and not medically necessary. The hospital would agree to repay the state $1.1 million in fines, but would also constantly claim to the press that they hadn't done anything wrong and it was just easier to pay the fines than to prove their innocence in court.
Because we were frauding.
Look, it would take us a long time to come up with a way to prove that we weren't frauding, and that would just be more than $1.1 million, so fuck it. By August of 2006, the New York Daily News would release an article entitled Losers Owe $2 Million. And it was revealed that Pedro Espada had racked up $61,000 in fines from his Bronx Borough president race in 2001 that he had still yet to pay the city for. Now, after this article came out, Pedro would state that he was currently working with the city to be able to pay them back. And he would repeat this statement for about 10 years.
Pedro, you could just mortgage your Westchester home that is not your primary residence and use that money.
You have stolen infinitely more money than $61,000. You could, at this point, you could take that money out of your hospital and no one would fucking notice.
Just call it overhead, because you keep frauding.
And like I said, 2006 would mark the first election season in 16 years that Pedro wouldn't run for political office. And a lot of that, I think, comes from him realizing that he couldn't just keep trying to win back his old Senate seat. It was pretty much Ruben Diaz's to lose. And compared to the other local politicians, he hadn't done anything to put himself in enough jeopardy for Pedro to unseat Diaz. Instead, Pedro would have to wait for an opportunity to come to him, a politician embroiled in enough brand new scandal that his own misdeeds would pale in comparison. Lucky for us, he would only have to wait until the year 2008. So Efrain Gonzalez Jr. was born in 1948 in Cuamo, Puerto Rico, which is the exact same city where Pedro Espada was born.
Oh.
He would end up making a name for himself as a union rep for the Teamsters. In 1989, he would be elected to the New York State Senate and would cruise easily to re-election for 8 straight terms. But if we're talking about him in this episode, you know he wasn't spending his day following the laws that he made.
Oh, no.
In 2006, Efrain would be indicted on federal charges. You see, what he had done is he had set up his own nonprofit organization called the West Bronx Neighborhood Association. And the feds found out that from 2000 to 2006, Efrain had taken $400,000 from the organization to pay for just a ton of things. These things would include tickets to Yankees games, membership fees to a private resort in the Dominican Republic, and to pay the rent for his homes in Monroe, New York, which weirdly enough is a full hour north of the Bronx in Orange County. Other bits of what that money also went to were for clothes, paying for his kids' college tuition, and paying designers to create logos for his brand new cigar company. Apparently, he had smuggled tobacco seeds out of Cuba and started growing them in the Dominican Republic. One kind of fun story is he'd yet to actually start selling them, but he would hand them out to everyone that he came into contact with.
Wait, so did he take the seeds in the hopes that that's what makes them Cuban cigars? Because I heard it was the rolling of the cigars that's what makes them unique.
It's so many things, I'm sure. I mean, I know fuck all about the tobacco industry, but I'm sure it's the soil, it's probably the weather, it probably is the rolling technique. It is the fact that these are ancient fucking plants.
Right,
and yeah, just
terroir.
Just taking the seeds and growing them in the Dominican Republic, I'm sure they're going to turn out fine, but you're not making bootleg Cubans.
I lived with a biologist one year in college. She was like a biologist and botanist, and she had a tobacco tropical plant, and every time you watered it, it smelled like someone had just put out a cigarette and some water. Like, it was not pleasant.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That is
Fun fact, if you ever feel like growing your own.
Oh my God, fuck that.
Yeah.
I mean, good advice though. But the one thing that he did that you don't want to do when you steal money is that he sent the checks to pay for his bills and expenses through the mail, which is something called mail fraud.
Yeah, and they will get you.
Oh yeah, it's like the FBI is itching for you to mail shit. If you're, all right, a little crime advice, not legal crime advice, but if you're gonna steal money, don't put it in a mailbox. You will go to jail.
Yeah, the post office has its own task force, and trust me, they are on it.
Yeah, like, I don't know, rent a car, drive that money. You know what? Treat your money right. Don't just fucking throw it in the mail and hope for the best. You fucking chaperone your money wherever the fuck it's gotta go.
Launder it through Dogecoin.
Yes, the sensible crypto. So yeah, this is what Efren did, and of course they found out about it. If you get caught for mail fraud, it carries up to 20 years in prison. The one thing though is that the charges would drop around late August of 2006, which meant that even with all this scandal, Efren would be the only nominee on the Democrat primary ticket. As for the general, the Republicans hadn't even entered the race, and his only opponent would be Ernest Caroe, an unknown nominee from the Conservative Party. So, under the shadow of all of his crimes, Efren would win the election 97-3.
Good Lord.
But the other bit of luck that Efren had was that there were so many federal charges that had been handed down to so many different New York politicians that his court case would be delayed until 2009.
Oh my God. Just like, we're so busy, you guys. I'm so sorry. We are processing your crimes as quickly as they occur, but it is first come, first served.
To use the parlance of the Trumpists nowadays, the problem is these judges don't want to work. Sure, we're not paying them enough, but you know what? These are good jobs. People should just be working.
I'm so sorry. In the past 4 years, we weren't able to put more 24-year-olds on the bench.
It's just a sign at the State House that says no one came in today. Please be patient.
Yeah, there are dragons in the basement.
Yes. Tall Dracula in closet. Can't come. Oh, man. Which meant that since he's not going to court until 2009, he is still free and clear to run for re-election in 2008. You would just have to hope that people would completely forget the charges by then and that he wouldn't suddenly get an intense challenger in the primary. And then Pedro Espada bought a co-op in Efren's Senate district. And shortly after, Pedro would enter the race for state Senate, but in a completely different district than his previous runs. And being the weird, morally bankrupt folks that they are, the Bronx Democrats threw all of their support behind Gonzalez instead of, I don't know, maybe pushing him aside for a candidate that hadn't been caught stealing money from a nonprofit. I don't know. I mean, you know what? Fuck that. No, what's the worst that could happen? And the answer is a primary that only had Pedro and Efren as candidates. And initially, the Bronx Dems got their lawyers to check and see if Pedro was actually living in the new district, to which the court said, yeah, I guess, sorta.
Who cares? Both of them. Are we really doing this?
This blows my mind, because even with the New York City mayor race this year, with Eric Adams, quote unquote, living in a basement apartment in I think the Bronx or in Brooklyn, when it's very clear he's still living in Fort Lee, New Jersey. It's like no one's paying attention to this, but also how would you even prove it? Like, unless you had someone there every single goddamn day to see if folks were coming home. It's so dumb. I hate it. But aside from that one check to see if he was even living in the districts, yeah, the Bronx Democrats probably should have done more. But just Pedro's luck, they were busy fighting a completely different war. Jose Rivera had stepped in to try and unite everyone, but once again, a power struggle opened up, this time led by Ruben Diaz Jr. and what he called the Rainbow Rebellion. So while they would have loved to have focused on Pedro, he actually stayed entirely out of the fight and got to lay relatively low while the Bronx machine went after their in-party rebels, which resulted in Pedro Espada winning the race for state senate for the third time, beating Efren 60-40.
Oh my God.
He's back. Una, he's back in pog form. Are you so excited for him to not introduce any legislation and then just steal shit? It's gonna be great.
Yeah, and then just take commemorative ashtrays home.
This is the problem with sequels, is they keep doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, no, this is the Fast and Furious movie series if they hadn't pivoted to more of like a international spy ring thing. If it had just been like Fast and Furious 2 cut and repaste. Well, you know what? I'm gonna take that pitch. Don't you dare. This part of the story, Una, it's about to get buck fucking wild. So meanwhile in Albany, the Democrats were on the verge of something amazing. It looked like for the first time since 1964, the Democrats might actually have control of the state Senate. All they needed were just 2 races to fall their way, and I don't know, maybe a high turnout by a highly charismatic, once-in-a-lifetime type presidential candidate. And when you know it, the Democrats got those 2 races to flip. Voter turnout was huge, and by the end of the general election, the Democrats held a slim 32-30 majority in the state Senate. Pedro would easily win the general election 97-3 over a Conservative Party candidate, and for once he could actually get all the benefits of being in the majority without having to act like he was going to switch parties. All the Dems needed now was a voting majority for their choice of majority leader, Malcolm Smith. Now, Malcolm was born in New York City in 1956 and spent the majority of his pre-political life doing all kinds of really amazing work around Queens. At the age of 27, he began the Challenge to Minority Banks program, which pushed to get banks to increase the number of loans given to minority-owned businesses. And from 1983 to 1985, the program increased the number of loans given by $66 million. He then went from there to work as the president of the Neighborhood Housing Services of Jamaica, and on the side, he built about 100 units of low-income housing. You know, just for kicks.
God, this guy's an angel.
From 1986 to 1991, he had also run for office 3 times, but never once with the backing of the county Dems, and he lost each attempt. However, when a Senate seat came up in 2000, the party very quickly courted Malcolm to fill the spot. And after winning the seat in 2000, Malcolm would run completely unopposed for 4 straight terms. And in 2006, he would be unanimously chosen to be the Senate minority leader. So when it comes to finding a solid majority leader, Malcolm Smith was about as perfect as things could get, except for one thing, one glaring issue. Malcolm Smith is not Pedro Espada.
God damn it, Dusty.
Oh, no, that's just not going to work. We're going to have to...
For Pedro.
No, for New York, clearly. I mean, New York needs, I don't know, a highly corruptible piece of shit. It's the only way. Look, he hasn't passed any legislation, so clearly he has nothing in his closets.
But he also, like, it's almost as if, like, he can't breathe, like he has organ failure if he doesn't know that someone else is losing to him.
Yep. It blows my mind. Like, I don't even know how this plan got put in his head, but all right.
Probably he just saw Malcolm and was just like, nope. I know what I must do now. Fuck that guy.
Oh, my party's in control now? Okay, great. I know I have paid 0 dues, but... How about this?
Literally and figuratively, I paid 0 dues.
Dude, I owe the Bronx $60,000 and I'm never giving it to them.
Never paying that. They're going to pay me with their tax money as I sit in Albany and bitch about the food.
If I remember right, there was actually a point that Malcolm Smith had to go to, I want to say New York City Hall to promise that he would get Pedro Espada to pay the money back.
Malcolm!
I mean, he's in the neighborhood. You might as well.
Oh.
So before the general election had even begun, a group of socially conservative Democrats had already begun a little scheme to grab a ton of power. The general idea being that they thought Malcolm Smith was too liberal, and if the Democrats wanted their support, then they would have to acquiesce to a few demands. And if they didn't, then they would go to the Republicans, offer one of the 4 of them as a compromise candidate for majority leader, and give power right back to the GOP. Calling themselves the Gang of 4, the group included Carl Kruger of Brooklyn, Hiram Montserrat of Queens, Pedro Espada of the Bronx, and the leader of the whole thing, Ruben Diaz Sr. Yep, Pedro is now working with Ruben. And of the 4, Pedro was the one angling for that sweet, sweet Senate majority leader job. So one day after Election Day, Governor David Paterson traveled from Albany to Manhattan to meet up with these 4 power-hungry fuckers. Now, what was discussed at this meeting was mostly kept private, but it was made known that Diaz impressed on Paterson that he wanted Latinos to have more support from the party and have a greater opportunity for statewide office. Paterson took that all in, said he would do his best within his power, and then made it very clear that no one was going to back down from supporting Malcolm Smith, no matter what. And to give you an idea on how worried other Democrats were, just enjoy this following quote from a state senator that asked to remain anonymous. Quote, "This is nothing but a caucus of backstabbers. They can't even trust each other."
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Well, yeah, he turned out to be 100% right, because 3 days later, Hiram Montserrat would back down and announced his support for Malcolm Smith in exchange for being named chairman of the Consumer Affairs Committee. But look, no need to panic. They still got 3, and 3 flipping would still be just enough to give the GOP power via one of them, if they wanted it. And after 2 months of fighting, Malcolm Smith agreed to meet with the remaining gang of 3 at his Senate office. And it sounded intense. Supposedly, Diaz spent the whole meeting trying to get Smith to promise that he wouldn't bring up a vote on same-sex marriage that year. And after not getting a guarantee, Ruben met with his son outside, whose son slapped him multiple times and told him to just vote for Malcolm.
Oh my, yes, younger generation, yes!
Everyone would end up getting something, though. Malcolm got to remain majority leader and president of the Senate. Carl Kruger was named the chairman of the Finance Committee. Diaz was named chairman of the Aging Committee. And Pedro was named chairman of the Housing Committee, as well as being made vice president for urban policy. And the thing is, Pedro would actually end up getting another huge win during all of this. because Bronx Democrat leader Jose Rivera had been kicked out of his job by the courts. You see, there had been an election for the party chairman position the year prior, but Jose, sensing a serious challenge from Espada ally Assemblyman Carl Heastie, called together a sudden vote that included, quote, party members, non-voters, and befuddled seniors, and made them all vote for him via voice. The court found this to be very illegal and deposed Jose Rivera from the job.
Wow.
So for once in Pedro's political life, he no longer had anything to fear from the local sect of his party. Finally, he could focus on bigger and better things.
No, this is more dangerous.
Yeah, you're right. And by that, I mean he got into a huge fight with his landlord.
What? Yeah, oh my God. No, he needs a distraction. He needs a distraction from a bigger fish.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't know. Yeah. Like, you don't see the shark trying to eat away at the remora that's attached to it.
That's true.
I don't
So,
know
Luna, you're a New Yorker person, right?
I like to think I am.
Are you familiar with the name John Katzimatidis?
Absolutely not. I have no idea who that is.
So he is an exceptionally Greek landlord who, for the past couple of election seasons, has been rumored to be the next Republican candidate. And he just never runs because why bother? But he owns
passive income already coming his way.
I know, right? Yeah. Why would you make your life worse at a job that continually ruins lives?
Why would I be voted in with the public when I'm already a king?
Damn it. So one of Pedro's clinics, he was renting out from Katzimatidis. And so, as landlords do, he's like, hey, I'm raising the rent. Fuck off. And Pedro responded by just not paying rent.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep. He raised the rent on one of his medical clinics. Pedro immediately sent a letter saying, A, I'm not paying your rent. B, I'm canceling the lease. And C, when you show up to this empty space when the lease is done, you're going to find a surprise.
He's going to shit in the closet?
This is based off of Katzimatidis, but when he got there, he found $10,000 worth of damage to the inside of the unit. Now, God. I mean, look, he's a shady fucking landlord, probably a piece of shit, and These are two fuckers going after each other. That being said, I would not be shocked at all if Pedro personally went into that place and ripped the copper out of the walls.
Probably wanted to do it.
Yeah, everyone just threw a really amazing, leftover drug party or ether. Yeah, everyone had a great ether binge. That's something. Ether's still a thing, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Why not? The Cider House rules made ether look very delightful. You just put a little mask on your face. You take a nap. You get to act like Michael Caine. It's wonderful.
Oh, geez.
Gadfly is very pro ether.
Yeah. Big ether. Know that we are looking for your dollars.
Oh man, I can't wait to start doing those ads for ether. It's gonna be great. And so Katzimatidis ended up suing him for back rent and damages. I really couldn't find if he ever actually paid him back at any point in time, but it's really hard to tell.
I mean, did he ever pay back the people of the Bronx their $60,000?
I don't think so. Yeah, so I highly doubt he paid this guy back rent of any sort. Now, to be fair, Pedro did end up taking a pretty heavy role in the MTA crisis that was kind of going on at the time. It's long and boring, and it was kind of hard to figure out what was going on, but the general gist is that the subway in New York City was low on money, and the option was either hike up fares or start charging a toll for a couple of bridges. And a lot of people wanted to start charging tolls on bridges because if you want to get into Manhattan, you got to fucking pay. But
also it's like, well, then take the subway, you jerks.
And Pedro was very staunch that no, we are raising fares on the fucking subway. I will die before I have a toll on a fucking bridge.
Because I will die if I have to take the subway anywhere. I feel like that's really the dividing line.
Look, man, if you push the subway out into Westchester, maybe we'll talk about it.
God.
Yeah. So in the midst of this public transit crisis, it was found that Pedro still wasn't living in his district. While he claimed to be living in an apartment at Bedford Park, the very one that he bought just so he could run against Efrain Gonzalez, other members of the co-op stated that they had never seen him once. So WCBS reporter Marsha Kramer looked into this a little deeper and drove out to the home in Westchester County where Pedro had last been caught living outside of his district. And when she got there, a man with the body type of Pedro Espada walked out. However, he was wearing an orange ski mask and was holding a whole baby in front of his face. He then hopped into the passenger seat of a car and was sped off the property by someone who was very clearly his wife. And from here, the district attorney started looking into it, and what do you know? Pedro moved into his empty apartment out of nowhere.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yeah. So reporter goes to his house in Westchester. He's like, oh shit, it's the fucking press. I guess we don't have a garage. He puts on an orange ski mask, grabs a baby, holds the baby in front of his face, gets in the car, and within the week, he was moved into that Bedford Park apartment, acting like he had always been there.
This is so weird.
At some point, I think it was like the Daily News had this whole article about Pedro where they called him a lot of slanderous things and then used each paragraph to justify each thing they called him. And they called him a coward for hiding behind a baby.
Okay.
Yeah, which, yeah, I mean, a baby is not exactly the thing to hide behind because A, they do not give very good press comments. Also, that butt is in your face. Baby could poop at any second, man.
Yeah.
It's not a well thought out plan. Also, why do you own an orange ski mask?
So many questions. I don't know. I guess I'm pleasantly surprised that at least he took the seriousness of that journalistic investigation into his residence, because given how he acted regarding the rented space for his medical whatever, his
Yeah.
medical offices and everything,
Mhm.
I just assume he had taken his position with the housing board and just been like, I am now a god.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah. Like, you couldn't pay off one person at the fucking co-op to be like, oh, Pedro, yeah, he's my neighbor. I see him all the time. All press releases go through me whenever I see him.
sometimes he picks up my mail.
Like, this is simple shit. If you're gonna be corrupt, fucking keep up to date on this shit. Pay one fucking person, man. For Christ's goddamn sake. So after a month of setting into his new digs, Pedro would be greeted with another expose on how bad his hospitals were. This time it would be the Daily News, because they looked into his last campaign and started noticing that his campaign literature and his hospital ads looked ridiculously similar.
No.
It was almost as if he was using the hospital's account to print his own stuff. And lucky me, I don't have to say allegedly, because materials for the campaign and the hospital were printed on the same account owned by Pedro's nonprofit. Also, having not learned anything from 2005, hospital workers passed out literature for Pedro's campaign while they ran booths at health fairs, something known as a crime.
So much crimin'.
It's
Didn't they already get busted for this? Like they're just
They
doing
did.
this thing?
I mean, at least they're not stealing from the AIDS pantry this time, but
Oh, that was the takeaway? I guess.
I mean, they did take the money away from the AIDS program anyway, so it's not like they could. And also, like I said, Pedro still hadn't paid off his 60 grand worth of fines from his 2001 race, and he had racked up another $13,000 in fines for failing to submit any of the 6 required campaign finance reports from his 2008 state senate run. And while Pedro did the usual of blaming people wanting revenge on him, this piece did have one side effect. It caught the eye of New York's new attorney general, Andrew Cuomo.
My God.
We are in a story right now where Andrew Cuomo is one of the better people.
Right, but he's there because by now Elliot Spitzer has been caught with his socks on.
Yep. We will get to that because that also plays a ridiculous role in this whole fucking story.
Oh, well, we need to get there ASAP.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I'll hike this into a drive. Because, yeah, we have no fucking time to talk about Andrew Cuomo and his fucking rise for power. Because while the Gang of Four somewhat succeeded, there was someone else who saw what they had done and thought, what if I do that but better? So Tom Golisano has a long history in New York politics, and is someone that we will probably go into much more depth in a future episode. But as a bit of a summary, Tom is best known for founding Paychex in 1971, which if you've gotten a paper check, it's probably been printed by Paychex.
Wow, okay.
And it's a business that he claims to have started with, quote, $3,000 in a credit card. Also something that whenever I hear, I think of as a lie. Because who could start a business with that? How many people have tried to start businesses like that and just ended up bankrupt?
Okay, well, hold on. So this is 1971, right?
Correct, yeah.
So that's $3,000 in 1971 dollars.
True.
Yeah, let's look this up.
Yeah, 1971 to 2021 money. $3 grand in 1971 would be equivalent to nearly 20 grand today.
Okay, 20 grand. That's
Yeah.
definitely not, that's seed money.
Yeah.
And then, you just go into credit card debt. So
Exactly, yeah. And he's one of the few people who got out of it, and now he gets to lord over. It's like, I started a business for $3 grand. What the fuck are you doing with your avocado toast and not working at McDonald's?
yeah, print checks for myself now.
So this business has allowed him to amass a fortune of around $4.2 billion.
Oof.
In the world of politics, Tom is known as a mega donor. But he made his first foray by creating the Independence Party of New York in 1991. He would run for governor in 1994, 98, and 2002, before stepping aside from personally running and just financially supporting candidates that he liked best. And it just so happened that the bulk of his money in 2008 went to a whole slate of Democrats running for the Senate. Tom had hoped that if his money could help swing the state Senate to the Democrats, then it might allot him a lot more sway with the powers that be. So shortly after the Democrats won, and the battle for who would be the majority leader ended, Tom called on Malcolm Smith to visit him at his mansion in Rochester. And according to Golisano, instead of chatting with a grateful newly elected majority leader, he met with someone who clearly did not want to be there. Tom noted that while he brought up the various wants and needs of his own personal businesses, Malcolm spent pretty much the entire meeting on his phone, not really paying attention.
I want to side with Smith on this. Like I really do, because I get it. Like one, it's just like this guy has spent his life like helping house the poor and like push progressive ideals. And it's just like figuratively to the point of almost literally go to someone's house to kiss the ring.
100%.
But then like, man, just go there and like show some disdain. Don't be like, it's just petty rudeness if you're there with your phone. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I know what you mean. Just
Like,
because reading about this guy is just like, this guy's a fuck. I totally get why you would want to do that, but there's a time and a place, and that time is when you're not the majority leader of the state senate that you just won.
like, nod politely and then completely ignore what this guy says. Like,
Yeah,
that's, he
like,
just wants to be heard because he has $1 billion and expects to be.
100%.
Ugh.
But the thing that really pissed Tom off the most was the one issue that Smith and the other Democrats were pushing for the hardest, and that was increasing taxes on the wealthy. So Tom was convinced that issuing state bonds would be the best way to raise funds to be able to pay for the future budget. But the Democrats were insistent that, maybe trying to sell bonds in the midst of the housing crisis and the beginning of the Great Recession really wasn't a great time to expect people to be making any sudden investments.
Yeah, no, pitch in, billionaire. Shut the fuck up.
100%. Yeah, apparently when they started telling him, no, that's not going to work, he grabbed a legal pad that one of them was holding and just started jotting down calculations on how it would. And
God.
yeah, it's just like, no, the world's falling apart, pal. Like, I don't know if you've noticed on your paychecks, they are being printed for smaller amounts.
Yeah, like, there are less of them going out into the world across the board.
Guys, is it me or is the ink on the zeros lasting longer than usual? This isn't good.
Tom, Lehman Brothers does not exist anymore.
Great. That means there's a bunch of investors now who need some bonds.
No!
But Tom would hear none of it. And when he realized that he didn't actually have any sway with the people he felt he had financially put into power, he moved on to Plan B. So Tom and his crew would set up a secret meeting. The venue was Red Square, a rock venue right across from the SUNY Albany campus.
And the irony was thick in the air.
Oh, it was very incredibly thick. I'm just imagining they went there on the night that Red Wanting Blue was playing.
Yeah. Wow, what vodka specials? This place is great.
Oh man, yeah, it's 3 olives cherry cokes for $2. It's great. And the invitees were the top 3 Republicans in the state Senate, which included the new minority leader and former majority leader, Dean Skelos. Now, Dean Skelos was born in 1948 in the Long Island town of Rockville Center. Dean would eventually get his BA in history from Washington College and then get his law degree from Fordham in 1975. At the age of 32, Dean would be elected to the New York State Assembly in 1980, and 4 years later would win a promotion to the state Senate. After 6 easy re-elections, Dean would be named the Senate Deputy Majority Leader in 1995, which was the position he held up until 2008, when he was made the full-on majority leader. And just his luck, he held it for less than a year. So when Tom Golisano made the call for a plan to retake the Senate, Dean was more than willing to listen. And the plan itself was somewhat simple. Find at least 2 Democrats willing to betray their party and switch over to the GOP. And in exchange, give them even more power than they already had.
Oh, no.
And it just so happens that one of Tom's friends was besties with our good pal, Pedro Espada.
Who has no moral compass and is all too perfect for this endeavor.
Now, Pedro had just become the vice president of the Senate for Urban Policy thanks to his little power play. But it being Pedro, of course he wanted more. He made a request for expanding his capital office to include the office neighboring his. He asked for $100,000 extra to pay for rent for his district office in the Bronx, which, to remind you, he didn't even open the last time he was a state senator. And $100,000 is about twice as much as every other senator gets for the exact same expense. He requested to be able to expand his staff by another dozen people. And of course, because this man just never learns a lesson, he also tried to get $2 million in earmarks to organizations that he had just founded a couple days before introducing the legislation.
Wow.
Which, look, I know that sounds bad, but the details are worse.
Oh, no.
So one of these orgs he would name the Human Services Council. Bland, sounds like they do stuff. And the headquarters was the exact same address of one of Pedro's Soundview clinics, and the chairman was a member of Pedro's Senate staff. And of course, when people brought up how fucking coincidental this all is, Pedro blamed all naysayers of committing, quote, character assassination.
That would be a step up, Pedro.
It implies you have character, sir.
Yes!
Like, I just want him to fucking take responsibility once. Just fucking once.
The man needs a ladder to get to the gutter. Like, he's just...
Like, maybe he should have got into boxing, because this guy just feels like someone who should have been punched more than he probably has been in life.
Yes.
So the Democrats refused all of these demands because they're fucking ridiculous. So of course Pedro was primed for the over-the-top revenge. He would be contacted in April and secretly met with Dean and his Republican cohort. Pedro invited them to his home in Albany, and I still don't quite get this sentence, but apparently they ordered so much pizza that other senators started to complain.
From the smell, or?
I don't know. It was in the newspaper that, like, apparently they had kept all of these meetings extremely secret, and not a thing leaked, but for some reason all these senators are just like, he is ordering too much pizza, and I don't like it.
I will go to my grave needing to know more information.
Yeah,
I just
my only guess is that he was expensing it, and everyone is like, our pizza budget is not like this. Are you having a pizza party every day? Is morale that bad in your office?
right, because otherwise the only thing I can think of is just like he would just stack the boxes outside.
Like all the senators are just living in a
like
dorm.
they're already eating pizza every night.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know what, maybe this should be a policy that we should push, that if you're going to be a member of the House of Representatives or senator in either the country or in a state, gotta live in a dorm. You're living in a studio. Have fun with that.
I'm in favor of that because as it is, too many of the like wackadoo Republican senators at the federal level certainly like keep living in their office as like a point of pride.
Yeah.
And I think they need to be shamed more.
Yeah, and like I kind of get it if you're working late nights and you don't want to go anywhere, but I mean, I think even AOC said it's just so expensive to find a place to live there if you're a freshman member of Congress.
Yes.
That unless you already have that seed money, it's near impossible to find a place to live. But once you're there, get a fucking apartment.
And it's also like, it's one thing when it's AOC who was a bartender. It's another when it's Trent Lott,
Oh my God. Yeah. Famous hardscrabble individual Trent Lott.
Yes. Stop it.
So Pedro's here ordering way too much pizza. Is like Albany style pizza just really smelly? Is it?
True. Yes. I don't know. Like, is he getting extra garlic?
Ooh, yeah. Oh, he's just getting stinkies off.
Yeah. Or like anchovies.
Oh my God. Or he's just like not taking out the tray. He's like doing that thing where the pizza boxes are too big to put in the trash.
This is what I'm saying, but he's still shoving it in those little.
Oh God. Yeah. He's putting it into the fucking recycling and everyone's just like, Pedro, you have to fucking stop.
Yeah. Stop it. It's so oil filled. They won't recycle it.
Oh man, I'm glad we got to the bottom of this. Any of those could be true and all of them could be wrong.
This is going to haunt me. Okay, moving on, because we still need to get to Elliot Spitzer.
Yes, we do. So Pedro was pretty quick to get on board. Now, weirdly, Tom Golisano would move to Florida, so pretty much anything that would change in New York wouldn't really affect him. Now he's just doing it out of spite. But his compatriots kept him in the loop, and he seems to have probably gotten some notes on the scheme from none other than Roger Stone. There's no confirmed information on this, but folks who took part in this have been asked if Roger was a part of it enough times that it's pretty clear that he at least gave notes.
Oh, God.
But they still have one big problem. They needed a second Democrat. And Pedro went and chose the least reliable member of the original Gang of Four, Hiram Montserrat. Now, by this point, Hiram had gone from being a two-term senator to a dude just smothered in scandal. On March 23rd, a grand jury indicted Hiram on 3 counts of felony assault. And this was because a month after winning his election, he had slashed his girlfriend's face with a broken pint glass.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it would be months before the case would go to trial, but Hiram was definitely in a position that was desperate for all the favors he could get. Now,
this piece of trash.
The details around it are really weird because it would eventually get to the point that his girlfriend would change her testimony. But I mean, there's also a very long history of, abusers forcing folks to change their testimony under threat. So
just like having to wait in this limbo while your attacker is still out there.
Yes, 100%.
Relive the trauma with the police, with the justice system. You're never being like, there's always that like, but did you do anything to deserve it? There's always that hanging in the air, no matter what. Oh, this poor woman.
Yeah. So the group would continue to meet and order a concerning amount of pizza up until June 8th. And during the session of the Senate, Republican Senator Thomas Libas introduced a motion of no confidence calling for electing a new leader of the Senate. Now, weirdly enough, there's a bit of question as to whether or not there is a legality to this, because when you are elected the Senate Majority Leader, it's for a term of 2 years. But there is precedent of people being removed from that term of 2 years. So when the senator came forward and introduced the legislation, it just erupted into pure chaos. People were blindsided. All the Republicans voted in favor, as did Espada and Montserrat. And in a shock to the Democrats, the resolution passed. But before it could be made official, the Democrats moved for an adjournment. The new majority demanded that the vote be made official, but 28 of the 32 Democrats rushed out of the Senate chambers, with the only exceptions being Espada, Montserrat, and the 2 other members of the Gang of Four, Kruger and Diaz, who seemed to have stayed just out of moral support and shock for what just happened. And then the lights went out because the Democrats rushed to cut the TV broadcast of Senate business and turned off the lights.
Wow.
And despite this, the remaining senators voted for new leadership in the pitch black. Dean Skelos was named the new majority leader. However, there's also a position for the temporary president of the Senate. Now, usually the majority leader also takes this job because all they do is if the lieutenant governor is not there, then they kind of do the lieutenant governor's responsibilities in the Senate. But you know who would be really good for that job instead of Dean Skelos? Pedro Espada.
Oh.
Pedro Espada has been made the temporary president of the Senate, and it's a little worse than that.
No.
But we should probably deal with the basic business first, because the following day would be about as chaotic as you think. The Secretary of the Senate refused to give Pedro the keys to the Senate chamber. Pedro responded to this by demanding that the secretary immediately resign. Meanwhile, Malcolm Smith declared the vote illegal and unconstitutional and set to reverse all of this by court filings. 2 days after that, Pedro was finally able to get a set of keys, but no one really knows from where, and the GOP senators entered the chamber for their first session in power. However, they found that the Democrats had locked away all the bills and forbade the Senate stenographer from showing up, and it is actually New York law that if any business is being done, a stenographer has to be present.
Wow.
So they were there, but Senate business couldn't be done. But even with that happening, the cracks of the plan were already starting to show. And this was mainly because when the senators went to vote to start the session, Hiram voted present and then immediately left, leaving behind 31 senators, which is exactly one short of a quorum. Now, for those of you who don't know the term, for any sort of government business to be done, a quorum must be present. And a quorum is the number of members in a legislative body plus one. So say, in this case, there are 31 people who want to do the business. There are another 31 who aren't there. You can't do anything. You have to have 32. And it keeps from like suddenly very weird laws from getting pushed through and things like that.
Because like 4 people show up and
exactly, yeah, and all of a sudden like whales are illegal. But yeah, so it's almost like the guy who bailed on the Gang of Four the moment he got what he wanted was on the verge of bailing once again. And 1 week after Republicans regained the Senate, Hiram bailed and rejoined the Democrats after they promised a ceremonial change in party leadership.
Wow. Lie with dogs, wake up with fleas, folks.
It wasn't even a position that Hiram got. He was just like, I like this guy, John Sampson. And they're like, okay, sure.
Honestly, at this point, like how I imagine it is like Hiram got, I guess, what he wanted from the Republicans. Mm-hmm. And then just like a child just got up and left, like didn't realize he had to continue doing things and left. And then in the other room were the Democrats just like shaking some keys, just like, hey, Hiram, hey,
buddy, hey, put away wine glasses. Hey, Hiram, come on, man.
Hey, look, there's a shiny object for you. If you come back here, you're a good boy. That's how I imagine it.
Malcolm, lock the door.
Lock the goddamn door.
Oh, man, if only that's how government worked here. And so the thing is, with Hiram leaving, it actually ended up creating an incredibly fucky situation. And of course, to explain why it was so bad, we got to talk about Eliot Spitzer.
Okay, let's do this.
So Eliot Spitzer was governor of New York in 2008, and he had been caught cheating on his wife and spending about 80 grand on various sex workers, and subsequently resigned from office. It became even worse when people found out that he had probably been procuring these services when he was attorney general as well, and there was a lot of worry that that might ruin some of his cases in certain regards. Either which way, he was out. So
I forgot that he was governor.
Yep.
Wow, the DA pipeline in New York. My God.
It's nothing but the best. God damn it, Tish James, you better not break my heart. Yeah, and so Spitzer's out, and this allowed Lieutenant Governor David Patterson to ascend to the governorship. However, thanks to a law passed in 1943, it was illegal for the state to hold a special election to elect a new lieutenant governor. And the law was written in such a way that it could be interpreted that the new governor wouldn't be allowed to pick a new lieutenant governor. So since Spitzer's resignation, Patterson had been acting without a lieutenant governor this whole time. And like with many other states, one of the big jobs of the lieutenant governor is to preside over the state senate and be the tie-breaking vote if need be. So now that Montserrat has moved back to the Democrats, the state senate is tied 31-31. And the temporary president of the Senate, who fulfills the lieutenant governor's duties if they can't be present, is still Pedro Espada. And sensing a chance for some real power, Pedro declares to the press that this clearly means that he now gets 2 votes. One is a senator, and one is the tie-breaking vote if need be.
Oh!
Una turned into a bike.
This man!
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like he's Icarus if Icarus set fire to his own wings.
Hey, can you pee on the sun?
2 votes? Motherfucker, be happy with what you have, which is already way more power than you should ever be near.
I mean, if you want to be technical about it, he's kind of the acting lieutenant governor of New York right now.
I can't believe this.
And all he had to give up was nothing. And the thing, though, is it really didn't matter, because now that both sides had 31 members, all the Republicans had to do was just not show up, and they'd be able to withhold business via quorum, and same for the Democrats. Now, there was a day that a Republican senator walked through the chamber, and the Democrats tried to claim this moment as a quorum, but Governor Patterson, who I will reiterate is a Democrat, shot that down and said, guys, I'm seriously not going to count that. It will not stand in court.
Yeah, that wasn't even a drive-by. That was just a walk.
Yeah, like I remember Governor Patterson getting a lot of shit when he was governor, but there are so many things he does in this where it's just like, he's just just being relatively decent and trying his best in an impossible situation.
Yeah.
Now, Governor Patterson did try his best to get people to show up. By the end of June, 2 weeks into the power struggle, he ordered special sessions to be conducted so that time-sensitive bills could be passed. And what happened, though, is both sides met in separate locations and just completely ignored each other. The day after this stunt, Patterson ordered that the senators wouldn't receive their last 2 weeks of pay and wouldn't be paid until they finally all met together in one room.
Yeah, do your job.
And sure, Patterson does not have the constitutional right to do this. But he figured by the time any complaint would make its way through the court, the crisis would probably be done. So fuck it, let's roll the dice.
Yeah.
So the senators were suddenly working without pay. Patterson also placed an immediate ban on all member items, which is that thing where senators are given like a budget and then they can dole out money in their districts to whatever nonprofit they want.
Oh.
But this was kind of a pointless move because none of the member item spending had been decided yet. So by July 8th, the Senate still had not met in a quorum. So Patterson took the next step and appointed former chairman of the MTA, Richard Ravitch, as his lieutenant governor. And while a large number of groups supported the idea, one of the few who didn't was Andrew Cuomo, because of course shit can't be fucking easy with this guy. But Pedro took it one step forward and immediately sued Governor Patterson for installing his own lieutenant governor. Now Pedro would state of Patterson appointing lieutenant governor, as so many others have done in other states before, as quote, "I don't know what he's thinking. It doesn't matter. It's almost as if he doesn't want a resolution."
So first of all, did New York ever do something about this and realize like, oh, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with that 1948 law?
Yeah, it was not good. I should have actually looked back to see why they did it, but I think it's partially because in New York, you decide who your running mate is going to be for lieutenant governor, and so it's kind of unfair to do a special election for someone else in. They just wrote it badly enough that you couldn't pick someone new.
Wow. God, there are a lot of reasons why I'm just glad I don't live in New York.
Yeah, New York politics are rough.
Yeah, like poor Patterson is surrounded by criminals.
Yep, yes he is.
And they have the audacity to be like, this guy doesn't want to fucking pass a resolution. Oh, shut up. Shut your mouth. Shut it hard.
I just want a friend who lives in this building with me. I've been alone all this time. Please just let me have this. And so, all right, so remember on July 8th, Pedro says, "I don't understand what he's thinking. It doesn't matter. It's almost as though he doesn't want a resolution." July 9th, the Democrats approached Pedro with an incredible deal that he would accept. To the shock of the Republicans, Pedro stated that he was leaving their side and rejoining the Democrats. And in exchange, Malcolm Smith would be named the new temporary president of the Senate. And Pedro would be named the new Senate Majority Leader. In one shrewd move, a man who never once seemed interested in statewide politics had become the most powerful Democrat in the state Senate. And he would hold this position for as long as he could keep his tight little fucking grip on it. The intensity of failing upward with this guy rivals anything I've ever heard of coming out of Hollywood. It's very gross. But Una, there's one thing that I'm pretty sure he's not seeing, because, I mean, you know that mountain climber game in The Price is Right? And like someone is super overconfident while playing it, and they're just like, I'm going to win that Hyundai Elantra. It's going to be great. Nothing can fucking stop me. Well, Pedro is about at that number 40 hash mark and is just still going strong. Oh, no. Because, Pedro would end up holding that job for about a year and 4 months, which is especially disconcerting because he was only supposed to hold it until the end of 2009. So we're going into 2010, and he's still majority leader. But it turns out he caught the eye of a group of people who you really don't want to be looking at you, the IRS. Here we go. The IRS had started looking into a consulting firm owned by Pedro by the name of A1 Multi-Service LLC. Yeah, that sounds real. Yeah, I mean, that's, I just picture you walk up to a gumball machine with those little bubble things. You put in a quarter, you turn it around, and you open it up, and it's just the name of a generic shell company. That's what we have here. Yeah, it was the sequence to get a Twix bar at the little vending machine. Yeah. A111. Yeah, and so the IRS saw the name of this company, and they're like, I think we need to start looking for tax fraud. I think we have our Tuesday sorted. Let's do this. Hey, you guys want an easy Friday? Let's go. And at the same time, Andrew Cuomo had just finished his investigation of the money issues with the Soundview Health Clinic. And he ended up finding that Pedro had taken around, Una, I would like you to guess how much money that Pedro has stolen from this hospital. Oh boy. Okay, well, I know he doesn't give a shit about 60 grand, so I am going to say 2 million? $14 million. He stole $14 million? $14 million. And he's not paying the city of the Bronx any of it. Holy cow. Like, you're stealing that much money, you could take one monkey off your back. One. And you're still not fucking doing it. Yeah, it's just a fun game of Monte Carlo because it's not your money. So some fun expenses that he had from this. Yeah. He paid for trips to Vegas and Puerto Rico. He spent all the rent he had ever paid for his empty apartment in Bedford Park from this money. He spent $20,000 in sushi delivered to his Westchester home. Now, as a fucker who loves him some sushi, I don't know how you do that. Well, someone's driving it from the Lower East Side. Apparently. Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're not going to like the best sushi place in Mamaroneck. You're fucking you're getting that shit.
It's coming from Union Square.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And not to be outdone, the IRS went and raided 2 of Espada's offices.
Good.
And while the IRS was busy going through all of his crime evidence, Pedro would get sued for stealing $1.3 million from a shady fucking job training organization. The Espada Management Company was run by his son, who I would like to remind his name is Pedro Gautier Espada III. And essentially the whole thing that the Espada Management Company did was train people to be janitors at the Soundview Health Clinic. And then while they were training, they paid trainees about $1.70 an hour for full shifts.
Oh, I feel sick.
Yeah. And by this point, the deck was stacked completely against Pedro. So while Democrats begged him to drop out of the 2010 race, he just flat out refused, arguing that this was only happening to him because Andrew Cuomo was, quote, a prince of darkness who hated him. Which, I hate to say it, Pedro, half right.
Yes, and also...
This is like political improv. Yes, and.
Yes. Yeah, he is the Prince of Darkness and he is out to get you. Also, you be criming. Both are correct.
You're not even criming well. Just, I want one of you to crime competently at this point.
I know. Give Cuomo a challenge.
Oh my God.
Make him work for it.
But look, Pedro's the freaking Senate Majority Leader now. The Bronx needs him. You all need him. And what kind of fucker do you think has the balls to come in here and challenge the new king of the Democrats? I have $14 million in my home. There is sushi at the bottom of my pool that I don't even remember.
Stop admitting your crimes.
I will hold a baby in front of all of the money that I've stolen.
Oh my God.
And while the answer to who is, man enough to hop in and take his job, that would be the former head of the Bronx Democrats, Jose Rivera.
Good. Oh my God, it's the same 3 people.
Yep, every time. And with just a swarm of crime surrounding him, Jose was able to crush Pedro in the Democratic primary by a 2-1 margin. And Espada blamed pretty much everyone but himself for his loss. He never called to concede or congratulate Rivera.
Of course not.
So on June 14th, 2010, about a month after the election, Pedro and his son were indicted on 6 federal counts of embezzlement and theft. The charges would be placed by Loretta Lynch and Andrew Cuomo, and if they had been found guilty, both would face up to about 55 years in federal prison. And with only a few weeks remaining on his tenure of Senate Majority Leader, he was officially impeached from the position.
Wow.
Now, Pedro would wait until after the Christmas holiday, but eventually he stuck it up and resigned his Senate seat with about 2 weeks left.
With all the dignity of a Nixon.
Leaving behind 10 grand worth of damages and pizza boxes as far as the eye could see. Now, it would take another 2 years before we would get to the trial, but it would end up ending at around 2012, where Pedro was found guilty of embezzling money from a federally funded healthcare clinic and was sentenced to 5 years in prison, of which he actually served all 5.
Okay.
But he wouldn't be alone. You see, the Senate that Pedro served during his tenure as Majority Leader would see 12 of the 62 members indicted or serve time for a various array of crimes.
A dirty dozen?
Like 16%.
Wow.
And now for examples.
Oh my God.
Malcolm Smith would make an attempt to run for mayor of New York in 2013. However, he wanted to run as a Republican despite being a Democrat. And as we said before, to do that, you need to get special permission from the Republicans. So Malcolm set to bribing those with the power to say yes to give him said permission. And the FBI very quickly found out and charged him with corruption. And in 2015, he would be found guilty. He would be sentenced to 7 years in prison and was released in 2020.
Malcolm!
It's such a bummer. It is so fucking dumb.
This is heartbreaking.
And then there's Dean Skelos, who was charged alongside of his son on 6 counts of corruption by U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara in 2015. Now, it turns out Dean had been passing favorable legislation for 3 different companies, in exchange for said companies hiring on his son for high-pay, minimal work positions. One of my favorite quotes is apparently his son just constantly showed up to these jobs with very shit attitudes, and at one point yelled at a supervisor saying, quote, "I don't need to show up to work because my father is the Majority Leader of the state Senate."
No, he didn't. This little punk ass. No!
This 30-year-old punk ass is pulling this shit.
Oh, it's always disgusting when you find out that they're pretty much our age. And so stop it. We already have a bad reputation. You didn't have to do anything. Just shut your mouth and collect the checks.
Yeah, it was like $300,000 of cash that he was making.
Oh, Christ.
And so Dean and his son would be found guilty in 2018, and Dean was sentenced to 4 years in prison. However, while in prison, Dean ended up catching COVID-19, and he was allowed to serve the remainder of his sentence under house arrest, which he will be able to leave next year. And then, of course, there's our old statist pal Hiram Montserrat, who would be convicted of third-degree assault for attacking his girlfriend, to which he got 3 years probation, a $1,000 fine, and a year required domestic abuse counseling.
I'm livid. This guy serves.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
you're right. You're right. But around the time that he would be allowed to stop his court-ordered abuse counseling, he would end up being indicted by the government. Because it turns out Hiram had been using staffers at his nonprofit to also work on his 2006 campaign, and used $300,000 in campaign finance money to directly pay those staffers while they were on the clock for his nonprofit. In 2012, he would be found guilty of mail fraud and served 21 months of a 2-year sentence. As for Pedro, he served most of his time at a minimum security federal prison in Pennsylvania. But, it wouldn't be Pedro if he didn't try to, do a little something to get out of it. And now this is based on a bit of rumor. But from what other prisoners said, for some reason, Pedro just started walking towards the border of the minimum security prison and then just kind of walked past it to test the limits. And the prison responded to this by grabbing him, shipping him to a maximum security prison in Brooklyn to serve out the remainder of his time.
Idiot!
Yeah, you can just picture him just being like, fuck it, I'll just keep walking. What are they gonna goddamn do? I'm Pedro Espada. I was the fucking majority leader.
I'm just feeling it out.
Oh, wait, I passed the border? Oh, no. So while he was in that maximum security prison in Brooklyn, he would end up filing a class action lawsuit against the state and the federal government due to the unhealthy conditions at the prison. And look, prisons suck.
Yeah.
So does Pedro. So if it was anyone else filing it, sure. But
again, both things are like, yes, absolutely, Pedro. It is terrible. Also, you didn't have to be there in the first place.
Yep. I mean, he just got away with so many crimes for so fucking long that I'm sure he thought, like, fuck it, I could probably just walk out of here and no one would give a shit.
I'm sure it was like, the thought of just like, maybe no one's just ever tried this.
I mean, yeah, no one's ever attempted a power coup in the Senate. I mean, let's just see what the fuck happens.
Maybe it's just so easy.
So in 2017, Pedro would be released from prison, and it blows my mind, but he has not made a single attempt to run for office or make any public statements since. I have no idea what he's up to. He's probably still living in Westchester, living a very quiet life, but aside from that, I have no idea what he's up to nowadays.
None of these people got the right amount of time.
But yes, because of all this, I really want to end this episode on a happy note. You see, when Pedro's actions started to actually get consequences, his hospital chain suffered. And frankly, yeah, he sucks, but his hospitals did help a ton of people who, prior to this intervention, had no close facilities for primary care. So in 2012, the Soundview facilities were facing closure by the state health department. However, at least one location was saved by the Institute for Family Health. Now, this is the very same organization founded by Dr. Neil Kalman, and he is the doctor that co-founded Soundview with Pedro back in the 80s. And also the man who realized early on how untrustworthy and terrible Pedro genuinely was. Today, the Soundview Health Center continues to operate under the new name of the Stevenson Family Health Center and has been in good standing with the State Department of Health ever since.
Yay!
Yeah.
Oh, I did need that last bit.
Yeah, and I know Pedro probably should have served more time, but you know he's miserable. You know he's so fucking mad that every single day he is living in a mansion in fucking, I don't know, New Rochelle or something like that. He's sitting by the pool and he can't enjoy a single fucking second. Just anytime a living being gets near him, you know he's just bitching about what could have goddamn been and how none of it's his fault, and that's why ducks don't go to his house anymore.
Honestly, just is pure end of Goodfellas vibes.
It really is.
Like all that's missing is an Eric Clapton song from the 70s we can't afford.
Oh my god, yeah. There's some heaven. You got it.
Yeah. Just,
that 70s
for
jam.
those at home, just think of have a bridge running in your head as you listen to the litany of charges brought against most of the New York State Assembly.
Oh my god, yeah. So that's the tale of a man who was terrible at crime and somehow got away with it to the heights of political power, which he did really nothing with.
Nothing. He did nothing with his public office. He did nothing with his crimin except just have $14 million to pay on Westchester, I don't know, property taxes.
Yeah. And like stealing $14 million, that does take work probably. Getting caught shows you should have worked harder, but it's like you can build real tangible power if you just take what you can get and work with it. And every single time it was never enough. It never made him content. He was never willing to put in the actual work beyond the scheme to be able to keep power.
Yeah, no, this is like a Shakespeare, like one of the Henry plays, just like a Shakespeare play about hubris, but really dumb.
Yeah.
Just super dumb.
Oh my god. Yeah, well, I hope you've enjoyed this tale of Pedro Espada Jr.
God.
So everyone, we are going to be taking next week off. It is, America Day here in America. It's time to put explosives in hot dogs and, yell at an ocean. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But the week after that, I'm very excited to say we're going to be doing our very first preview Preview 2022 episode, where we are going to be talking about the, what's the word I'm looking for? The fascist-tastic primary for the Idaho gubernatorial race.
Trademark that.
Oh man, fascist-tastic? It's hard to say, let alone spell.
Oh Lord.
So enjoy your holiday if you're having one. For international listeners, I don't know, grill a burger, set something on fire, have your own America in your backyard. And we'll see you next time on Gadfly.
Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?